Hey, it's AJ from KINCROME. Today I've got something a little bit different. I'm going to take you through how to use a nut riveter straight out of the box. Okay, to the setup, get it right, get it ready, show you what's going on. So when you open up the box, you'll see the instructions here, and I'm very careful to make sure I use the same terminology as that, so that you don't get confused. But in the box, you've got the riveter, you've got some riv nuts, and you've got a selection of mandrels. Now I'm missing the M6 mandrel, but we can get by without that one. So I'm going to use the M4 just to demonstrate. Now the first thing you should do is lay the tool out, open it up, have a bit of a look at it. So the mandrel that you get is in two pieces. So separate them. So you've got the mandrel knob, and the mandrel setter there, and also the mandrel thread, which is probably the most important part of the tool. And you've got this here, which is the nose piece with a limit stop. Okay, so we'll fit them all on together, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, before you start, close the handles. Close the handles and lock them. And the reason why we do that is so that we have full access to this thread here. Because if you don't, it disappears into the head of the tool. So let's do that first. And then what you're going to do is take your mandrel, using that thread into here, just thread it in there, clockwise. Once you get that there to the end, just finger tighten it. You don't have to tighten it with a tool, just finger tighten it, because you want to be able to get it off with your fingers, and you might not have a tool to actually take it off. Once you've got that there, it's time to fit the nose piece. So the nose piece just goes straight in there, and you'll have to keep a finger on this because that thread actually spins there. So put your finger here and screw this in. Now, a really important part of this, and a lot of reason for damage with this tool, is we're not screwing this into the tool enough. So I'd recommend about 5 millimeters at least of thread, because anything less, and there's a chance that this whole thing can come out and you can strip the thread. So use the knurl bit here to spin it on. And as a guide, let's just start with about 5 millimeters here, and we'll have a look what it looks like. So the gap between here and the limit stop, about 5 millimeters. Open the handles, and then you're almost there. And what a good test to do is just compress the handles and then see how much it's actually going to come in. The idea of this tool is that you're going to screw one of these riv nuts onto this tool, and it's going to pull it in, and it's going to actually surround and clamp itself onto a very thin surface. You want it to be able to do that, and what you need to do here is basically just screw this straight onto the mandrel thread. So clockwise. Now the setup of this tool is really important, because have a look at how wide these handles are. My hands aren't that big, and I'm going to have absolutely no leverage in being able to actually apply the riv nut. So get it to where your hands are pretty comfortable, and that's where the riv nut should touch the nose piece. Okay, and I've protruded this out a little bit. It doesn't have to be that far. Remember one thing about this tool, it's all feel. When you apply the riv nut to a working surface, you're probably not going to be able to see what's going on back there. That's why you're using this tool, or you won't have access to it. So it's all feel, and I really recommend that you do a couple of practice runs out in the open, get a feel for the tool in your hand, know how far you've got to apply everything, like the limit stop as well, and then you're away. Once you've got it set and you're confident with it, then I would use it on your work surface. Before we start, this is super important here too. This limit stop here doesn't need to be tight. Don't tighten it up. Just use it finger tight. And in fact, tighten it with your finger, and I'd even back it off just a little bit so you can move it around, okay? Because if it goes really tight, it's really, really hard to get off. Okay, I'm pretty much ready. I've got that set, my hand's in a really comfortable position. It's engaged here. And if I apply a little bit of force to it, keeping it nice and steady, which I'm not, you can see that I'm actually compressing that. And that's pretty much perfect. Let's do another one, and you can see exactly what's happening with the tool. I'm going to use just a thin business card so that you can see. I'll take one out of the pack as well. Again, closing in my position where I'm ready to start putting pressure on, and I apply the riv nut. right there, maybe a little bit too much, back it off a little bit. I'm comfortable with that. And I can put my riv nut through the hole, and then you'll see exactly when I apply this. I think with the feeling in my hands that that's about right, and confirming it is. I can take that out. Now to actually remove the tool from the working surface, if I've applied that to a toolkit, I would just unscrew it from the back here. And the thread's coming out of the riv nut that I'm going to leave behind. There you go. Perfect riv nut. I can screw anything into that. That's exactly what they're designed for. A couple of things with the tool. The most damage that you're going to do to this tool by overuse is through the thread here. Okay, it is called a rivet gun or a nut gun. It is not like a riveter. It doesn't pop off when it's applied. Okay, you're not going to wait for a snap because there's not going to be a snap. It's all feel. Okay, don't wait for the snap like a normal rivet gun because it's not going to be there. And if you over tighten it, there's a great chance that you'll ruin the riv nut. Okay, you'll ruin that, you'll warp it, it'll be out of place, and you'll also ruin the thread here, which basically makes the tool redundant. Okay, one of the other things that I want to take you through is, that was a pretty easy one. That's an M4 size, it's a pretty small riv nut. When you get to the larger ones, which are like this type of tool here, you would use quite a lot of force to actually apply this one. Okay, now I haven't got the M6 with me, but you're going to need more than one compression stroke to actually apply this rivet. Okay, so, or this riv nut, I should say. So what you would do is get it into your normal position. Once it's applied, go a compression stroke, okay? And then what you would need to do is just turn this to actually tighten it up a little bit more, so it gives you more compression, and you can go again. Now you can keep going until you get it. The best way to apply something large like that is just to creep up on it. Compress, compress, compress. If you do it in one hit like this, you're going to struggle. There's a great chance that you'll probably snap it as well. You'll snap the actual the thread. So it's very much a feel tool. Practice, practice, practice. Get used to the way it feels, and then apply your riv nut to your work surface. Okay, there you go.